Hi, my name is Priya Thoresen, and I'm a teaching artist with Northern Clay Center. Today, I'm going to talk about a lesson that you could use on curating for a ceramics class specifically. I did this with an online section, but you could also do it in person. So I've got my first slide here. Welcome to the classroom. Today, we are learning about the job of being a curator, and you'll have the chance to combine your ceramics knowledge and artistic style to curate your own exhibition. To start off with, we'll be watching a video interview with Namita Gupta-Wiggers, who is the head curator at the Museum of Contemporary Craft. And I have this for you as a link. This is what it should look like. It is from Oregon's PBS. And in this, she talks about her job and some of the things that she does. So discussion questions that you could use with your students are, what are some of the skills that a curator needs to have? And can you see yourself doing this kind of job? Why or why not? Then going on to the assignment that I created. So your job is to curate a show based around a theme. Your exhibition should include 3 or more artists and 7 to 10 images, which are representative of the artist's work or the theme of the show. So if you are curating a show, you might be proposing a show that's going to be happening a year or more away from the date that you turn in your curating proposal. So you could think of this as including things that are representative of what's going to be in a show, future made, or you could think of it as like the actual work that you're pulling from a museum collection. So your first slide in the exhibition should tell me the name of the show, your name, a 2 to 3 sentence statement about the show. This could be what interested you in the artwork or what you'd like the viewer to know, the names of the artists included, and then the exhibition slides should show the name of the artist and an image of the art piece that you chose, and then use the final slide to cite your sources. I'm going to give some examples of possible themes. For my students, this was a beginning level class, and my main goal for them was just to get them looking at art. If you have a more advanced class, you might have a more specific assignment. So these are some possible themes that are pretty common in ceramics, and I feel like these things would be relatively easy to research. So you could have a theme based around a material or technique, such as porcelain or slip casting or hand building or slip decoration, all sorts of techniques out there. You could have a show based around object type, whether that's plates, cups, pitchers, or bowls. You could have a show based around geography, which is going to require probably a little more research on where the artwork comes from. You could have a show about the vessel as a pot for observation rather than something that would be a functional everyday item. You could do figurative sculpture. There's a lot of people that do human figures and also animal figures in clay. You could do a show about nature. There's a lot of organic sculpture and things that reference nature in ceramics. There's technology, which is also going to be a little harder to research. But there's a lot of artists that are using new media like 3D printing, or you can make it about surface design. So these are possible themes, but this is just the beginning of all the kinds of shows that you could curate. So coming up, I have some examples of shows to give you. And the first one I have is by an artist named Donna Flannery. So this one's called Comics, Culture, and Clay. So what I did for this example is I found Donna's curatorial statement in an exhibition guide for the 2017 NCCA conference. And I know Donna, so I asked her if she had any pictures of the show offhand, and she didn't. So what I did was I went through her list of artists, and then I just pulled examples of their work. So I feel like this is more of like a proposal of what a proposal would look like than an actual representation of the exhibition. But you know what, that's okay, because that's pretty much what you have to do a lot of the times when you're writing a proposal. So here we have Donna's show, curated by Donna, photos chosen by me. This exhibition illustrates comic culture within ceramics, emphasis on narrative and humor as tools. Broadly defined, the ceramics are themselves comics and refer to the ink on paper medium. Then we have our participating artists of Richard Nickel, Kathy King, Kevin Snipes, Ann Iwamura, Doug Baldwin, Laura Jean McLaughlin, and Donna Flannery. So I'm going to show you these examples, and what I like about this show, besides liking the artwork, is that it combines artists that I'm familiar with new people that I wasn't aware of before. So here we've got Richard Nickel, Kathy King, Kevin Snipes, Ben Iwamura, Doug Baldwin, Laura Jean McLaughlin, and Donna Flannery. So this exhibition, it included both functional work and sculptural work, but it was related by the kind of like aesthetic choices and style that the artists were using. So I have another example coming up, and this one is called The Lay of the Land. It was curated by an art critic by the name of Janet Koplos. And so this one is based around place, and it requires a more specific knowledge of ceramics than something that you're maybe just going to choose based on what things look alike. So if you want to learn more about how she curated this show and the kind of research that went into it, she has an online YouTube video that was presented as part of the 2019 NCCA conference. So you can hear her talk about that. But just to go through her curatorial statement, which was also just a short statement within the exhibition catalog, so that people, if they're looking through and trying to decide what they want to visit, they'll know what they're headed out to see. The Lay of the Land, curated by Janet Koplos. Mark Ferris bought a 40-acre farm in southeastern Minnesota in 1973, built a kiln that fired with wood and oil, and converted a barn into a studio. 2 other potters in the area sometimes fired with him and were important for conversation. Later, Linda Sikora and Matt Metz took over the place, and still later, they invited younger potters to work there over a winter, an act of generosity that amounted to a sort of private residency program. Though their work is not similar, each potter benefited from the beauty and isolation, or conversely, the connections of that place. And then we've got the participating artists. So I was able to get actual images of this show through the Concordia Facebook page and through my own photos that I took when I was there. And I have work or photos of just about all the artists' work. I might have missed somebody along the way. But again, if you want to see more about this, you can go and watch the YouTube video, which is a slide talk. So here we've got Mark Ferris, Tim Crane, Autumn Sapala, Linda Sikora, Matthew Metz, Nancy Bloom, who now does public art, and she has a couple of light rail stations in the Twin Cities that she designed. Karen Newgard, Sana Minami, Andy Brayman, and Chuck Ablett. So again, these aren't necessarily visually related, but they have a historical theme that connects them. So I have one more example coming up here, and this is a show at Northern Clay Center. And Northern Clay Center has their catalogs online, but rather than trying to find the exact images in that catalog, I did the same as I did with Donna's show, where I went to the artists' websites and I found pictures of their work which I thought was representative of the same kind of theme, which would probably be a little more similar to what your students would be doing anyway. So here we have Tempered Beasts, curated by Kelly Knoll and the Northern Clay Center exhibitions team. Tempered Beasts will explore the expressions of the human condition through the use of animal imagery. Animals permeate the ceramic lexicon in both contemporary practice and throughout history, from cave paintings to garden protectors, visceral sculptures to playful vessels. Our relationship with animals being as complicated as their role in our collective experience shifts from food source to family member, wild creature to domesticated friend. Humans determine the value placed on life, whether of our planet or its inhabitants, while often discontinuing our own animal instincts. The artists featured in Tempered Beasts wrestle with questions of consumption, commodification, and identification by creating animal forms that capture the very essence of what makes us human and animal. So that is part of a much longer statement about the show. If you want to read more about this one, you can see the exhibition catalog online, and you can also see the actual artwork, which was part of this show. So here we have the participating artists. And because there's less of these artists in this particular show, I've given examples of 2 pieces per person. So here we have Alessandro Gallo, Crystal Mori, Lindsay Pachowski, Adriel Tong, and Russell Rankel. So that is the end of that particular exhibition. And again, for this one, I was able to collect the images from the artists' websites directly. Okay, so where to send students to find artists or images for their exhibition. So there are a couple of contemporary artist databases out there. ArtAxis is one that artists have to apply to be a part of. And once you get to that site, you can sort it by sculptural, functional, or installation, or time-based media. Access Ceramics is a little bit of an older site. And with that one, what's nice about it is you can also sort them according to material or technique with the images. There's a couple of commercial galleries here. So what they have on their website is probably going to vary a little bit depending on what their current shows are or what they have for sale. We have Red Lodge Clay Center, Clay Akar, and Northern Clay Center. And these places pretty much always have functional pots for sale. They sometimes also have sculptural shows. Then I have some museum collections. The Everson Museum, Minneapolis Institute of Art has a lot of global art, and then the Museum of Art and Design also has a good database. I would recommend asking students to use at least 2 sources in selecting images for their exhibition. If you only make them use one, they might stop after they've looked at one show and pick everything from something that somebody has already curated. So maybe it includes part of their own design sense, but I encourage them to dig a little deeper and look around a little bit more. So, ways to build on this lesson. You could ask students to give presentations of their exhibitions, which is a pretty standard way to add on to it. You could use SketchUp or another 3D modeling software to design the exhibition space. You could make it part of a larger unit on researching historical ceramics. So for that, you might give them a little more of a specific part of the world that they're learning about. You could ask students to include a slide presentation about contemporary artists included in their show. So maybe I would have a slide about Russell Rankel and then also include the images of his artwork. And if you go to ArtAxis, it usually includes a statement or bio, and artist websites often also include that. And you could make an exhibition in response to or as a sequel to a previous show. So maybe you're going to research an exhibition catalog at Northern Clay Center. Everson Museum also has some good digital walkthroughs, even if it's not a full catalog. So maybe you're making work that you think fits with this exhibition as a part 2, or just additional work that you think belongs in that kind of a category. So that is my last slide. Thanks for listening.